Google does not throw up your name. Chat GDP has no history. कहाँ हो भैया छुपे हुए हीरो?
Conscious effort.
What is pivot? Can you just define it in simple language for us?
It's a drastic change in what you have been doing, what you're used to do, and you are accepting that this is not going to work for long.
What was the Tata pivot? If you could just share more on that.
Titan is a classic pivot. The watch is a very small market.
Energy, right here. What is the pivot there? Explain.
The way we produce energy is changing. The way we consume energy is changing. The way we store energy is changing.
Can Adani Enterprises do that?
They're still doing it. At that scale, they're doing it.
Medicine, again.
Wockhardt was making all right noises. I couldn't believe it. But I think that company sets an example. So you'll start seeing more of them.
In finance, what's your favorite example or what's your favorite pivot? Or where wealth can be created?
Difficult.
So you've identified that there is a possible big pivot which is at play in Ravindra Energy. Introduce the company to our viewers.
So I guess it's a utility in the solar business.
Which is the other big pivot you are participating in?
Other company which I participated meaningful, there's a company called Axis Trades.
So अब कुछ secret envelopes खोलते हैं and all these envelopes have names.
इसके बारे में मैं क्या बता सकता हूँ? तो सबको पता है. तो 400 साल से सेम बिजनेस है.
Last card.
Yours.
Do you want to guess what it is?
भगवान जाने 6000 कंपनी है.
My guest has spent nearly 3 decades understanding one simple thought. Focus on the rate of change. The premise is simple. Companies that fundamentally reinvent themselves, they create extraordinary wealth. His framework is simple. In life, the greatest risk is for those who do not try. He believes if you're on the right side of the change, you will see magical things in your portfolio. And he is building a framework, a thought process, and it is called the pivot. So what is the pivot framework? And what is the right rate of change one should focus on? And for that, it gives me, well, great pleasure to welcome Prafull Rai for the first time on BroadView. And the cheeky story is, I have known him from last 25 years. But this is for the first time I'm interacting with him in this avatar. So Praful, welcome to the BroadView.
Thanks a lot.
You've perhaps played in all the quadrants of market. Analyst, sell side, buy side, private equity investor, and now you're managing your family office. Yet, Google does not throw up your name. Chat GDP has no history. कहाँ हो भैया छुपे हुए हीरो?
Conscious effort. It's actually a conscious effort. It doesn't happen by itself.
So can I say the biggest pivot is that you are making in public appearance now?
You forced me to do it. Actually, that's a fact. Nikunj has been behind it forever.
Your framework is centered around one simple thing, rate of change.
Correct.
It's the pivot framework.
Mm-hmm.
What is pivot? Can you just define it in simple language for us?
It's a drastic change in what you have been doing, what you're used to do, and you are accepting that this is not going to work for long. The first is acceptance that, okay, I have been doing this, but I need to change, otherwise I'll be destroyed. So it starts with acceptance, and then you add, I say it's a 180-degree change of what you have been thinking, what you have been doing to what you want to do.
What is a classic example which comes to your mind when it comes to a business or a company or where a management, they have literally changed their course, what it was versus where it moved? There was a 180-degree turn. Give me an example.
Adani.
Okay.
Trading house, port operator, airport operator, defense manufacturer. Look at the changes he has done to the business, right? A trader to a port operator is like is a world of a change. It's not like a small change. And it's not just a port operator. He didn't just pivot into port. He ended up becoming India's largest port operator. Then when he decides to get into defense from port, look at the way they are executing. So I think as a family, is a very interesting example of a family being able to pivot into different businesses, very different from fundamentally what they have been doing, and demonstrated that they can do it again and again.
But with scale
And
scale
at
and
scale
size.
and size. And it's not just changing the business line or adding new business line, a massive case of perseverance. They just stay on it for long periods of time for it to succeed. It doesn't happen in a hurry. Like when they started airport or when they started port, they were on it for a decade before it started yielding results. So they have ability to pivot, they have patience to see it through. That's a family doing it. Tata is a business house, it's not a family, but Titan was able to do it, and what beautiful example they have said that. Like,
What was the Tata pivot? If you could just share more on that.
Titan is a classy pivot. The watch is a very small market. They were trying to compete with HMT for forever. You used to think of buying a Titan watch or HMT watch, and then they started changing. HMT is just not in the game. It is out. HMT is closed virtually, and look at what they have done to Titan. Tanishq is multiple times bigger than what they had in watch. The TAM was maybe 100 times. It's a industrial. It's a business house which pivoted. One is a family which pivoted, but both have set examples of success coming out of it, and the wealth creation in both the cases is enormous. So it's enormous and beyond enormous. Actually, if you would have participated in any of these two stories in 10-15 years, I think you can just, you will be laughing your way to the bank. Just you have to do it. Like, just see it's happening, go there, sit, participate.
So to your mind, which are the big, obvious and the non-obvious pivots in the world? Let's start with the biggest one according to you.
Energy.
Okay. Energy, right here. What is the pivot there? Explain.
The way we produce energy is changing. The way we consume energy is changing. The way we store energy is changing. Every part of it, like the way we produce, we are saying that we will move from nuclear. We are talking of from fission to fusion. In renewable, we are dabbling between solar, wind, or BESS, or combination of three, and plus other ways of storing energy. In thermal, again, we are talking of becoming more and more efficient. We are dabbling between all the forms of thermal. We are talking of geological form of storing energy, that is basically using the earth heat to convert into energy. So in every sphere you are seeing energy, you are seeing a massive change. This basket will undergo a major change, and this is the biggest opportunity in front of us.
The energy change is the biggest
energy transition to the way we have been producing, to the way we have been consuming is undergoing a change at all levels.
It's easy to understand, Praful, that okay, the way we are producing energy is changing. It is moving from from thermal to solar, and from solar to perhaps nuclear. Storage, easy to understand. Battery storage, I guess, is the next go-to space. But when you say that
also in battery, also the more logical way of storing energy is water. Water storage is also a way of saving energy, because you lift the water up in the daytime, and when there is a peak requirement, you bring the water down, you move the turbine. That's also storage. In there also there are a lot of aspects. It's not every part of energy ecosystem is being looked upon of what can be done.
But when you say the way we are consuming energy is changing, what do you mean by that? Because we pretty much consume the same form of energy. When it hits your house, I don't care from where it is coming from.
From the bulbs you are using 10-15 years back, it is at least for 30-40 times more efficient. Okay. Even in ceiling fans, it's as dumb as that. You are having BLDC fans. Again, 30-40 times more efficient. So we move from incandescent to CFLs to the new generation. We are talking of normal fans to BLDC. Government is forcing companies to become classic air conditioner, right?
Yeah, it's no longer a luxury now.
No, forget luxury. You've seen the stars going up every year, but the star definition is also changing. So So what was a 5-star AC 7 years back is no longer a 5-star AC because now you have become more efficient. So you are seeing changes. Again, I'm saying you are seeing changes everywhere. Sometimes very directly, sometimes indirectly, but it's happening in front of you.
It's just that we don't realize it.
Like a company called Atom, Atombug, which is a IIT Bombay startup, becomes one of the largest companies because they got into BLDC fans. The fans changed from 800 rupee, 1000 rupee, 2000 rupee a piece to 7000 rupee a piece. But they are more efficient. They pay for themselves in 5 years, 4 years, whatever. It's a change. It just change happened in front of you, didn't even notice. And now everybody is forced to follow the path.
Okay, Praful, the second big change is autos. And that's an easy change to perhaps comprehend. It's an easy change to see, and it's an easy change. It's a change which we all are experiencing. It is ICE which is moving into EV. But that's like the headline change. What is the real change in auto according to you?
See, again, it's not just ICE to EV. There are many lines between that, right? You had ICE, you had then hybrids, then you had dual one. You have ICE engine and batteries both in the car. And then you have pure EVs. There is one transition which is playing in front of you. The second transition playing in front of us is, which is being questioned, that one individual moves in a 2-ton vehicle. A 170-80 kg individual actually is moving in a 2000 kg car. That also is a question being asked. Then you are going to next level of questions. You are questioning that traffic jams are aplenty. Everybody, you started seeing drones carrying people or air taxis coming. See, there also you have multiple layers of changes because you're questioning. See, the point I'm thinking about it is that every aspect of this is getting questioned. So when Chinese are saying that EVs are the best options, Indians are saying that dual vehicle, that is like ICE plus your battery or hybrid is a better option. Or Toyota is saying I'll have more hybrid because that's more logical. Some companies are saying I'll stick to ICE because that will also stay relevant. But the fact is every part is getting questioned. In car, everything is under scrutiny. Actually, one of the fastest growing segments in cars is a car which can carry 1 or 2 people. Why should I go if I am driving myself, if at all I get a chance, I'll buy a car which just drives me because 90% I am the only guy in the vehicle. But the fact is that will also come in question.
But to draw a parallel here, Mahindra & Mahindra has made a comeback largely because of their bet on SUVs. SUVs means more power, higher speed, and perhaps more authority. Can both these changes coexist, which is transport vehicles, like you said, they are shrinking, and also on the other side, they are becoming more powerful?
See, the large vehicle is aspirational, right? I want to drive a large vehicle. The space for aspiration always shrinks. What is logical will expand. So for Mahindra, I think the largest segment would be 6B and the EV platform, electric platform they have created, and they are very clear about it. The way they look at their ads, they'll tell you that this is what we want to focus on. And the large aspirational things are at the sides. If you look at their ads, very clearly they demonstrate the EVs are at the front now. In the company's mind, that is pretty clear what they are doing. But till the consumer wants to buy those large SUVs, why should they not sell? But companies position themselves. So if I have to now think of the new generation Indian companies in the transport segment, it's not logical that Mahindra, Indian company I'm talking of, does Mahindra not come as the first company in your mind? That space they've already occupied. Unless Mahindra doesn't evolve the way it should, I think these guys will dominate. And Mahindra has been trying to get the maximum of what they can. Maybe JSW will become a competitor. I don't have answers. They're yet to. They are no longer a fringe player, but JSW is also a very serious contender. This space was up for grabs for Tatas, by the way. Since we are talking of that, JSW came because there was a room left by Maruti, because they were, or Suzuki for that matter, because they were thinking of incrementally from ICE to hybrid. Mahindra jumped from ICE to EV, and meaningful jump. Tatas were trying to figure out, and JSW said, "I'll only have EVs." So they started at the other extreme, and therefore they have a space. I wouldn't say they were started with EVs, but they said this is the space we want to be in. So you have some vehicles there, but like by and large, the focus of JSW has been to provide. They want they want a space for themselves in the EV segment.
Medicine, again, whether it is AI, whether it is a breakthrough like GLP-1, or whether it is pure speed of innovation or processing of data, medicine is also going through what really could be called as a very fast pivot moment.
What we used to call a generational change will become a regular feature in medicines. Actually, that's it used to take 5 year, 10 year, the development time frame is shrinking. The regulations are not keeping pace with the development time frame. Therefore, the testing, trial, this, that will take its own sweet time. But what the companies who spend time on development of whether it's peptide or whether it's generic or whether it's new chemical entity, I think that window is shrinking. And that's shrinking really, really rapidly. You saw first instance of say Bocard coming out with a NC, but that they have been working on it forever. But you'll see more of such things happening.
So new molecule entities,
will definitely come.
Entities will now find India will be able to have that breakout moment, aha moment.
Whether India does or somebody else, I don't have answers to that. We can't say it's happening only in India, right? But the speed will be drastically different.
Just like how vaccine would take 15 years to develop in COVID, whether it's compulsion or whether it is speed or whether it is technology, we were able to crack the code in less than 6 months.
We were able to produce the medicine and deliver it in less than 6 months.
So what happens to Indian pharma companies? Because the whole Indian generic model was centered around produce cheaper drugs, take the advantage of patent cliff, and as US is cutting the healthcare costs, that alternate is going to be a country like India, which has a large scale of manufacturing. If that arbitrage is not going to go away, if that arbitrage is going to be questioned, what happens to Indian generic code now?
Let's think differently. Again, thinking why, when I'm talking, I'm thinking through. See, what happens is that the speed at which we can create a new molecule or a new entity or a new drug or an upgraded drug or whatever it is, will shrink. And therefore, and also ability to produce more of such things, more responses to a medical problem will also go up, right? There was one response to a problem, now there will be 3 responses to the same problem, or maybe more, because it's become easy to do that. But development process is shrinking. The ideating time is just going down. But the testing will be required, right? Because you just can't say like an American patient can be administered a medicine without a proper process of human testing, this, that. My sense is India will become more integral part to the development process than what it has been earlier.
Finance. So what is the biggest pivot which is happening, and what is the biggest pivot which has happened in the world of finance?
Digital currencies, I think digital currencies are going to come. India will also be part of the game. India is also trying. So there are 2 schools which are happening, schools of thought, which one is that blockchain currencies based, you have many of them. Currencies with a purpose also there, but I think regulators will not leave that space for these guys. So every country will come with its own version of digital currency, or some consortium of countries will come. Like we keep talking of BRICS all the time, right? That's a digital currency. We'll have 5 countries coming together and have some kind of a currency. Or these things will change, because again you can create a currency. You can create a currency on a layer of your existing setup of on your existing financial setup. You can create a CBDC, central bank digitally sponsored currency. That will come. That will be a big change, because that will change the way you transact, the way you remit. A layer above UPI is what you can call.
So who will be the hero of this energy pivot in the world? What is your favorite example of the energy pivot?
In the world? In the world, I don't understand.
But in India?
Energy pivot in India, if I have to put a bet on companies, I think it will be all companies which are in the energy storage segment.
What's your favorite pivot in the medicine space?
Medicine, I have not invested a lot. But if you ask me if I should have invested, or I should have looked at it. Vocart was making all right noises. I couldn't believe it. But I think that company sets an example. So you'll start seeing more of them.
In finance, what's your favorite example or what's your favorite pivot or where wealth can be created?
Difficult.
Even though we're talking about
too much of regulations. See, pivot requires the freedom, right? A bank cannot say I'm going to do business very differently than what I was doing earlier. The regulator wants to do more of the same and better of the same. How can you pivot there? Even fintech companies, end of it, they end up becoming dependent. See, I have some exposure there because they are very reasonably priced. But with regulatory constraints, very difficult to pivot.
Because the guardrails are so strong that you will not have freedom
to innovate. They need to have guardrails. That's a regulatory decision that this is how we want to run the financial setup. So SFC Bank cannot say I want to pivot 180 degrees. They may know what they have to do or what they can do differently. But will they be allowed? I don't know. If one central bank company direct CBDC as they call it, maybe there may be some room to do something different.
In finance, Praful, to be fair, the wealth creation has been massive in the last 20 years. Whether it is HDFC Bank, which identified the whole power of focusing on digital and tech, whether it was Bajaj Finance, which used the power of CIBIL in a sense to really start approving loans, or the kind of franchise what a Paytm has created. But you think now, for long-term investors, wealth creation finance could be recovered.
Paytm has created government created UPI, Paytm created a layer on UPI, and they did what they had to do. But if you ask me from here on, it's very difficult to say that. Even Paytm for that matter.
Okay. So what I'll do is that what we've identified is what are pivots, what are the big pivots happening, and within those big pivots, what are the transformational opportunities for investors and for wealth creation. But I go back to a very basic building blocks. What is the number one building block for somebody who wants to identify the next pivot? What is your starting point? When do you say hello? What is that big block for you?
Big pivot, if a company does, or a business does, or a house does, I think the first thing I look at it, okay, this is interesting they're doing. At least they're experimenting. But what is the size of the opportunity they're talking about?
Okay, which is called TAM.
You can call it TAM or whatever. Size of opportunity. Like it is, whether it's an Indian opportunity, it's a global opportunity, or whatever be may, let it be. But whenever I see announcement of a pivot or sort of a new thing company is trying to do or business trying to do, the size of opportunity is the first thing. Okay, this makes sense or not. At least worth, if not investing, worth keeping a track of. So for me, the first starting point is if such. And I want to see in public. It's not like I'm privately doing something. I would not like to meet so many of managements and like to know a lot about. But once you make a public statement, it carries weight. And once you make a public statement, this is what I want to do, and this is, then it triggers a thinking. Okay, fine. This makes sense or not. The TAM. First thing.
What is the second thing?
Will they be able to do it?
How do you get convinced?
Capability is in two forms.
Okay.
Either it is somewhere related to what they have been doing, right? Say a alloy company or a steel alloy company is saying I'll do some very high-end applications of a different composition of metal, this, that, whatever form they may be. From a steel maker, it makes, okay, fine, they can actually attempt to do it. They may succeed or not, that's separate. But say a alloy company saying, I am going into a SaaS-based product development or whatever. First thing is whether they have the innate capability of they have the capability of handling that. Many times these large shifts have happened at the time when the management changes. Like there is a inertia in the earlier generation of not doing things. But what happens is that when a new generation comes, they start looking at the same thing in a different way. Many new capabilities get added.
Give me an example of where the pivot has happened because of management change.
You have Bajaj, very classy. 2 kids, one continues same business, other pivoted out. Yeah, Bajaj Finance created out of a family accepting that, okay, this fellow is good at this, let him do it.
Yeah, Bajaj Auto's original balance sheet actually has incubated Bajaj Finance.
You have the answer. Entire Bajaj ka finance ka setup is a classic case of young generation coming in. They're looking at things differently, and they're seeing that there is no space for me to do it. Technically, it was a pivot. Then it separated out, and now this is the answer you have. It's the most successful example since you're talking of these finance companies. That has actually happened in your and my investing life. And see, when it happened, we could have still participated.
Yes.
It was there for us to see, and it was not tight. It was another example. It just happens all the time.
So, Praful, now that we've identified the importance of TAM, the management vision, or I would say willingness. Pivot is about not vision, it is about willingness to perhaps walk on that lonely road where nobody is walking with you. It is about getting resistance in a boardroom. It is perhaps getting brickbats from your shareholders when you announce it. It is perhaps digesting the fact that okay, stock mein kya hone wala hai, when I will inform to the exchanges. These are questions which perhaps dissuade you from doing that pivot. That's where the management's conviction comes in. But the new dimension to any pivot now is speed, AI. What is the importance of speed in pivot?
More than the speed was the conviction. Speed happened later. But the management had demonstrated conviction for a few years before the speed takes up. So for a pivot to succeed, you have to go through that 2-3 years of pain, which happens everywhere.
That's
and then the speed catches up. And that is a period when investor patience also get tested. That is a time when management patience also get tested and their conviction get tested. Since you're talking about boardroom discussion, not that I'm privy to it, but see, you will need that conviction of every day doing things for it to succeed. In Bajaj Finance, I was like much late in the game, but still meaningful. Still meaningful. I owe it to them to have propelled my portfolio to whatever at the early stage. But even if you catch it late, it's fine.
So what is the pivot in Ravindra? I'm going to move these blocks because now we start about the pivot stocks which Prafull Rai is excited about.
This is what I do.
Exactly. So you've identified that there is a possible big pivot which is at play in Ravindra Energy. Introduce the company to our viewers.
So I guess it's a utility in the solar business, solar utility you can call it. They make small solar stations, catering largely to the state. They figured out okay, energy in this space, the big opportunity is in the short haul transportation. The company started pivoting out. They did some alliance collaboration with China, this that. They were able to get the business model in place. Now this company, which is the owner of the company, this is a very interesting example. The owner of the company decided, okay, fine, I want to spend more time on this than my traditional business.
What was the traditional business?
Solar utility. Before that, they were the founders of Renuka Sugar.
Narendra Murkumbi.
Okay. But he is spending a large part of his time, if you see the press release of the company, he talks about this business, energy in motion. That's clear that, okay, the founders are focusing here. I think it'll take 2-3 years for them to get the business model right. They're in the process of figuring out because it's a new thing for the country, new thing for them also. But once they're able to figure out the model, then the growth starts.
And what is the TAM of this business?
See, any vehicle which is above 30, 40, 50 ton vehicle can be a TAM. Short haul, all port, all construction site, all mining applications.
And when you say a second filter?
The point is that whether it will succeed or not, I don't have answers. I have placed a bet that it will succeed. It may just fail. But if it succeeds, I think success will be huge because they're the first movers.
And what is your disclosure in Ravindra Energy?
I have invested. It's in public. So the company did a preferential fundraise which I happened to participate. It's not a recommendation because the company is in a business of building something which is risky. But is the logic for doing that? Yes.
Which is the other big pivot you are participating in?
Other company which I participated meaningful, there's a company called Axis Kids. When I invested, it was a small time service company. from a service company to a sort of making small prototypes for semiconductors to defense to all. And now, interestingly, they have sold out all the services business. They've got out of all the prototyping activity. They are now going into large scale productions.
What exactly do they manufacture?
Lot of applications for defense. Like in Ops Sindoor, you saw some of the products getting used. They have interesting subsidiary which is making components and products and sub-assemblies which get used in space applications. It's a very high-tech manufacturing. I would say cutting-edge manufacturing is a very classic. They acquired this company called Mistral, which was more in production side of it. But the fact is, this is a very different game. I'm making a concept prototype, doing R&D on development, facilitating development for large consumers. Sometime making a design for a semiconductor company. To saying I'll just make the product. And when I'm saying I'll make the product, I'm just saying I'm selling all the businesses of this prototyping and services. They actually exited everything. Actually, this is the press release again in public last week. Last week or I think 10-15 days back. We have sold all the businesses we want to sell so that we focus on this. And they are talking of revenue of, see whether they succeed or not, I think no one knows. But they're talking of revenue going 10 times, 7 times in 3 years. And they're very confident of it because they're making a statement in their con calls, they're making in public on the press releases, this is what the target is for next 3-4 years. But think of it, this company is pivoting from services to production powerhouse. Okay. The value is already up 10, 15, 20 times before you start seeing the ramp up there. Okay, the markets have been favorable, so maybe you can take away part of it because of better market. But the fact is, company is able to change the course and very meaningful change of course. The point I was making 3 years, 4 years, when the company changes the course, the value creation also happens in that moment.
What's your disclosure here?
I have, see all the stocks we are discussing, with an exception of few, I will have them. So one can safely assume I'll have everything that I'm talking.
And you'll be happier and you'll be wealthier if these stocks they go up.
But again, my time frame would be couple of years, more, maybe more. Most of the stocks I'd be holding for like 3 years, 4 years, maybe more.
Which is it one large cap pivot which you are excited about? A company which is large. We know the pivot, it's just that we are not able to understand the true potential of the kind of pivot they've done.
Very difficult for a large company to pivot now. Very difficult. Actually, it's not that they will not do it. But to move the needle in a large pivot is not easy.
Can Adani Enterprises do that?
They're still doing it. At that scale, they're doing it. It's commendable. They just keep doing it, business after business. Adani is a very classy execution story. See, we can get into, there are a lot of debates and discussions which happened about the group. The fact is they're able to do it. That they are demonstrating that a data center was there. They had no sense of doing data centers. Now, in a couple of years, they'll be large in the country. So they were not there.
So Adani Group is one company, like we discussed at the beginning of the show, from being a trading company now to perhaps just having presence in the large hard assets with low obsolescence and assets which are essentially a play of India's GDP. They're capturing that entire pivot very well. Whatever is needed for a economy of our size, $4.5 to $5 trillion, Adani Enterprises in a sense is able to find an exciting business which they're able to add.
I think the more important part is that I somehow feel that they look at scale before they get into anything. Airport, port, data centers, defense. See, these are very mining development, mines, power, transmission. See, they are very large opportunities where they can. So it's a very, very interesting example of how you first identify the time, then you put your bets, because they know they can, and they are able to identify time, build a team, execute it, and again they are able to do it.
Praful, for the longest time, we've read that look, focus on companies which don't change. And the classic example here is that very famous American investors have always identified themselves with companies which do not pivot or do not change dramatically. The idea is to buy a business, not a promoter. Is there merit in revisiting that whole core thesis? That's old school investing, but that may not be relevant for future.
That is still relevant. See, you decide. Let's put it this way: the construct of a portfolio for making 15% return, 20% return, 30% return, 40% return, or whatever the number is. Everybody has different expectations from what they are doing. The construct changes. If I'm investing in a mature business, I know I'm going to what the construct of the portfolio will look like, because first decide this is what you want, and then you put your risk, right? Put your bets. If you want 15%, there is a great, or 10%, 12%, 15%. There are companies which will have those behavior tendencies of that. So that school has not changed. That school stays the same. You have to find what you are suited for. So, like in my case, I take risk. I bet on entrepreneurs. I bet on pivots. So see, this is a personality type. So it's like, since you asked for a couple of large financial institutions and banks, I did buy a lot of PSUs in 2020-21 because they were just people were just throwing away.
That was a trade. That was not an investment.
But I still hold some of them, and they have done really well. So it's not that they have not done well. But will I buy them? No. It was just sheer opportunity. There's the inertia not to sell them because they've done so well and they've been so rewarding that why should I sell? But that day I was not buying HDFC Bank. Actually, I sold HDFC Bank, if at all I had any, and bought into well-oiled machines. But again, that's separate. So the point you're making, is there a merit in buying those old? I think absolutely is. If you have a portfolio and you have a return expectation and you have a temperament that I don't want to see drawdowns, and what's wrong in then having some of these great large franchises like what you spoke of?
Yeah, I always like to bring this point out on our conversations on BroadView, is that investing, just like one shoe does not fit all.
No.
Investing is different for everybody because your risk, size, time duration, and also portfolio sizing, I think, is different. What may work for you like a charm may not work for me depending on my time scale and risk appetite. So coming back to that whole point on where I can feel the change, where I can smell the change, and where the pivot has happened, is the Indian entrepreneurship vehicle, which is that aspiration, inspiration, and the real framework of hard work and intelligence is now coming from just about everywhere from India. Small towns have become the fountainheads. The entrepreneurship wheel is now humming very, very at a very rapid pace. So when you invest, and you said that you always look at promoters, in your overall mix of the way you invest and where you've invested, which are your top promoters, entrepreneurs you're excited about? That ye bhai kuch bada karne wale hain.
I see. I do take risks in these spaces, but I don't put disproportionate bets on anything. Okay, to that extent, I know that I can lose money in every bet I have taken.
That's risk management. But
I can lose money in every bet I have taken, and I go wrong very often. Okay. So first thing, I don't believe you को entrepreneur बहुत बड़ा करने वाले. जब कर गया तो ठीक है, नहीं तो who knows? No one knows. यार, let's not get into कि किसको नहीं पता कौन क्या होगा, right? If I get a sense कि okay, this guy is not delivering for whatever reasons, and with largely 90% of, I would say 99% of whatever information I want, I get in public domain. So it's not that I have to search for anything more than what is there. So if I'm having that, and it's not generally not unlisted company, for me it's a portfolio which is reasonably diversified. Diversification always has a sort of, which will reduces the portfolio outcomes to that extent, but I'm happy with that. So that is one part of risk. But separately then, this whole SME MSME exchange which has come up, which probably we have discussed earlier also. See, these entities have been delivering great returns for like 8, 10, 12 years. So people have been saying there's a fraud, there is wrong things happening. Definitely there is a fraud. Definitely there are wrong things happening. Definitely the disclosures are below the desired levels. But mind it, they are SMEs. They're not mature businesses. So the moment you get into that space, you are taking a call more on the entrepreneur than on the business. So suppose I'm investing in Hindustan Lever, I don't care about who is the guy. I'm taking a call on the valuation in the business and the growth and so on and so forth. But the moment I look at, say, a small 200 crore market cap company, I'm taking a call on the entrepreneur. Who's this guy who's doing it?
So which are the entrepreneurs you've taken bet on?
There are quite a few, but there's a company called FWA. I have a small stake in that. Again, massively diversified portfolio, but therefore I can lose if at all one bet goes wrong, it goes wrong, it goes up. But they are talking that, okay, we are getting into, people are talking zero liquid discharge. They are saying zero discharge. Let's completely remove the discharge from factory entirely. I think they are filing a patent and they'll start selling the product. Both are from one of the top IITs, researchers, very nicely executing, very good feedback from business. Disclosures are enough and more for us to take a decision. But suppose they're able to deliver that, right? You change the game from the product gets accepted and the TAM will just explode. And so I have seen, so in my case, like I may have invested in this company 2 years back, 1.5 years, 2 years back. I'm observing that company very closely. The moment I see that they say, okay, fine, we are done with it, I may just triple my bet. You wait for the time to come. And even if the stock is up 30%, then also the time exploded so meaningfully, then you know what you have to do. So I see these are the ways in which I think about it, that a good entrepreneur, okay, I don't have a lot of history with him. Take a small bet, keep observing, keep seeing. And there are many companies where I'm like, okay, I'm very closely watching them. And there'll be a tipping point in each of them.
Any other off-center bets, listed or non-listed?
Recently, that is like a year back, not recently, almost, yeah, a year back, I bought into a company which makes medical equipment for blood management.
Okay.
From the point the blood is taken out of the body to broken down into its constituents to frozen at -80 degrees of plasma storage, this, that.
What is so different about that business? I mean, diagnostic space is a very competitive space.
It's not diagnostics, actually. Okay. Diagnostic is different. The back-end infrastructure of diagnostic is a different game.
Okay.
Like they made, I'll just give you an example of what they did. This is actually interesting. So the moment the blood is taken out of your body, right, it has to be stored at a certain temperature. Now that fellow who is coming to your house to take that cannot carry that freezer. But now, the point the blood is taken to from you to the point it is processed to get the blood loses its quality. Ideally, the temperature should be sub 8 degree and not less than 2 degree. The reports you get, say, suppose after the report they are processing the blood after 7 years. Your report is actually tentative. Your blood report is tentative. Because they will also wait for critical number of samples to come before they start the centrifugal machine to get the outcomes, right? So they created that machine to do that.
Which is this company?
This company called Marken. It's not listed. I don't know when we get listed. My sense is couple of years. But they have some 7, 8, 10 products listed on WHO website, and they're to be sold to the global community. This is the Indian company which is competing with the best of the world. Both the founders were scientists, this, that. These are very deep tech, high-end manufacturing happening in Nashik. Prototyping, product development, conceptualization, and some of the product they're beating even Germans.
So अब कुछ secret envelopes खोलते हैं, and all these envelopes have names. दो आप खोलो, दो मैं खोलता हूँ, एक सेंटर में.
पहले आप खोलो, मैं खोलूं. इसके बारे में मैं क्या बता सकता हूँ? तो सबको पता है.
We know that this is a great.
It's a great franchise.
Extraordinary returns, perhaps one of the best multi-baggers in the world, more than 100x in last 25 years. But 5 years from now, my question is, where can HDFC Bank pivot?
But where will RBI, the same question we discussed, where will RBI allow it to pivot? See, the problem with banks is central bank, they are too large anyways. Even if they know what needs to be done, will they be allowed to do that? They will incubate some businesses and probably list it separately, but will they? They'll not. This entity cannot pivot. My personal view.
दूसरा मैं खोलता हूँ. We've discussed this one. This company has genuinely tried to pivot in my book, Tata Motors, from locomotive to EVs, from making cars to acquiring JLR, and now going global again. This company has pivoted. It has not pivoted successfully, but can it have a successful pivot in 3 to 4 years from now?
If they take research very seriously, and they can do it. But what will happen in that process? You will not make money as an investor. They have to also accept that they will not grow. You have to spend. The BYD doesn't get created by not spending. But clear, you will not make money for a few years when they are pivoting. But I think they are delayed little. Therefore, there is a catch-up game, and then there will be lead game. So, if you ask me, I think if they pivot, it's great for the company. But I think for a few years, my sense, you'll struggle as an investor in that.
Your envelope now. Before I open mine.
ये क्या है? तो 400 साल से सेम बिजनेस है अल्ट्राटेक. ये तो, but this is one of the largest carbon emitters of the world. Somebody has to question this.
It's a cement business. I understand that the business cannot change. But can this company pivot?
Actually, let me ask you a question. 4 years back, if I had said Asian paint business has to change, right? New guys will not. Asian Paint is such a dominant guy. Got challenged.
So
and now it's not going to stop here, because others are also going to. Because once you say that okay, the emperor is not having clothes, many more are going to come. This business is a very interesting business. One of the largest emitters, one of the largest spoilers, carbon emitters plus environment damage, and this business stayed the same, because the assumption is that nothing can happen to cement. Cement is
it's a commodity. It has to be produced.
So there's actually interesting example. What we are talking about, the cars. I was with some academicians, and they said, in a building, 70 to 80% of the weight is for building itself. So building is made for building, not for you and me. A car is made for car, because 2-ton car carries 100 kg Nikunj.
Yeah. So that brings me to Ultratech.
So Ultratech, I think somebody will change it. I don't know who, when, how, because this has just stayed for far too long.
But can it really create a lot of wealth for shareholders? Because you value a cement company based on trends, cycles, replacement cost. Would you bet on this dull, boring business?
It's not it's a cycle. Well, it's not a cycle actually. We have largely secular, high and slow growth entities. Wealth will be created by maybe somebody is able to do something at a much lower cost. If somebody can disrupt the cost structure of a cement company, like I think Shree Cement did it once. Massive wealth got created in a very commoditized space. That is, if the status quo of the business continues, then I think they have to focus on the cost. If you can bring down the cost by a few percentage points here and there, I think there's a massive jump which happens in profitability. Cost can be in terms of new product processes or efficiency or whatever you may call it.
So, you bring Shree Cement example up, and I would build on that example just looking at the...
But cement can also create value.
If
you get in a mature business a cost disruptor.
Okay, India's biggest IT company, the business has already got disrupted. A lot is changing here. But looking at the cash, the fact that they don't have debt, they are now expanding their arms into AI data center and also building up enterprise solutions along with applications. Can TCS pivot at a speed which nobody is anticipating? Because when I read their communication public domain, the desire to pivot is there. The desire to pivot perhaps was not there 10 years ago when they were very comfortable in their own zone because they were generating a lot of cash and the TAM was extraordinary. Now they are on the back foot and they're feeling the heat, and now they are talking about what could change rather than what will not change. Can they pivot?
First, is the business disrupted? But what is the disruption of the business? There is a thought that the business is disrupted. The fact of life is they are growing. They're flat to growing. So business as we speak is not disrupted. Okay, they are saying we'll take less number of people for the same activity we do, or maybe more activity will not recruit more people. We'll adopt to new areas and methods of doing things. So my first take is business is not disrupted. That is very clear. Now second part is cash. How they use cash. I think Tata Sons has, now since we are talking about specific TCS, let's talk of TCS. I think Tata Sons has a lot of obligations which they keep doing. They do exceptionally great stuff. So TCS has alternatives of cash than probably most of the
बायबैक एंड डिविडेंड की कहानी चलती रहेगी.
मुझे नहीं लगता वो बदलेगी और मुझे नहीं लगता है बिजनेस को ऐसा डिसरप्ट होगा. बट स्टेटस को डेफिनेटली नहीं है इनके लिए. इनके कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर आ गए. एक और वे ऑफ थिंकिंग, सी दिस जो डिस्कोर्स हो गया है ना कि अपना आईटी सर्विस डिसरप्ट हो गया है, उनको भी पता है. See, assuming कि Nikunj knows and some investor like Praful in Bombay who has zero sense of running a tech, zero sense of tech, forget tech company. But अगर मुझे पता है तो उनको तो पक्का पता है. They are very smart guys.
Yeah.
तो the first point is that is the change there and have they agreed to change? In TCS case, if you read whatever they are saying, they have agreed to change.
Last card.
Yes.
Do you want to guess what it is?
भगवान जाने, 6,000 कंपनी है. Actually,
okay, it's Eternal, and this is one company जहाँ पे तो पूरा ही pivot हो गया, नाम भी बदल दिया Zomato से Eternal.
Great execution.
Great execution. How much more can they pivot? Is the pivot already over, or they will continue to pivot because they are generating a lot of cash? Technology is something what they've understood. Consumer data is what they currently have. And the young team which is executing at a speed. Every 2-3 years they're adding a new business and a large business which could change 15-20% revenue or 15-20% revenue in a meaningful manner.
I think if there is one company, see, I have never invested in Zomato.
Why is that?
I'm scared of loss-making companies.
But where is the company headed?
I think this company has the best data of what happens in the country. I use this very fondly, use everything of what they make. With this data and with this capability and with this ability to change, I think they will be able to still deliver.
And
in terms of, I don't know of the share price because I have no handle of how to look at it. But just there are 3 stacks. I have the data, I have the intelligence, I know what's changing at the incremental level, at a larger level, and I have done so many pivots and massive pivots in my. Assuming that they will not be able to do it again, I think that's a wrong assumption. They may still be doing it. If you ask me, this company should be able to do it again and again. Again, my guess. But whatever little is available in public, I think this is a promise. This can be a promising company. Not, I don't know for the investor, but in terms of what they can do and deliver.
You know, this has been such an fascinating chat today that I've learned the whole idea of focusing on the word rate of change, but more importantly, how to really identify the word rate of change. I may have pivoted from my old avatar, a television avatar, to new digital avatar, but for me, I guess the real pivot has been, I finally convinced you to take a pivot, come out from the cave, and then talk about it on a public forum. Thank you very much. Let's get that disclosure going once again before we wrap.
So all the stocks we have discussed, one can safely assume that I may have it. I can change my mind tomorrow. So please, none of them is a investment recommendation. It is not. Do your homework. But it's definitely it was more a framework of thinking, and you should thank Nikunj to take me out of. But none of them is a stock recommendation, and I virtually will be having all the stocks we discussed, with an exception of TCS. And none of them is a stock recommendation, for sure.
And you've said it loudly, and I'll say it again on behalf of Praful, that what we've discussed today is just a framework of pivot investing. And, I think everybody is truly grateful that you identified this entire rate of change into this whole framework of pivot investing. So thank you for that.
Thanks a lot.
And hope to see much more of you going forward on the channel.
That's too much.
That's too much of a pivot.
That's too much of ask.